All right, good evening, Rod. Welcome to Point with Shiv Modi. Welcome to the Prime9 TV channel. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
Beautiful day. No rain right now, but it looks like tomorrow's going to be a lot of it. They're talking about flash floods. So.
Oh, tomorrow? Really? Oh, okay. Well, I think we need a little bit of rain.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Farmers will love it. All this corn out here.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of water to grow corn. So,
so were you a farmer? How did you know about that?
Yes, sir. So I was raised on a farm in Oklahoma, a town of 40 people. My great-great-grandfather actually left the port of Odessa in Ukraine when we came over. We were Prussia, Germans in Prussia, and came over, and he founded that farm in 1895. And the seventh generation was just born a year ago. So my brother, I have land there. I go up at harvest sometimes when we plant, but it's therapy to go back to the farm. But we had three brothers on that hill, and I thought, we're going to starve to death if one of us doesn't leave. So I came to Frisco.
Oh, okay.
And in 1986, and there were 2,800 people there. And I saw cattle and combines and tractors. I stopped right there.
Because you like them.
Yeah, it felt like a farming community, which it really was. 90% of the land mass in Frisco were farms. It was agriculture. So I stopped, and shortly I met George Purefoy, he came the same year, I believe in 1986. And several of those guys took me under their wings. Dr. Reedy, who created these great schools.
Reedy High School.
Yes, sir. Named after him.
Oh, okay.
And he was loved kids, loved education, and he basically put the standards in our schools here. So I give him a lot of credit for that. It's now our responsibility to keep that, which is very important.
So you saw the Frisco becoming a urban city from a farming land.
Yes, when I stopped there, really the tollway stopped down at Park, way down in Plano. And I didn't think, I thought, 15, 20 years, maybe. I had no idea how fast Frisco would begin to grow. And, George Purefoy, it's his thumbprint on that city. When we master planned, I was on planning and zoning in 96. We master planned that city. And then about a year later, George came back and said, no, we got to redo it. The streets and roads aren't big enough. So we made the right-of-ways wider, all the major thoroughfares. And still would never imagine what came. The first thing that we got to jump 121 from Plano, was the mall. And the EDC, I believe it was the EDC that helped. I'm sure they were in place, maybe not, but they gave them some tax abatement to come. As soon as the mall jumped across the road, here they came. So growth it was crazy. And the north half of Plano was still not built out. So we got to learn from watching Plano things to do and things not to do. So it really helped us because we had a book right there. Yes, that we were looking at.
So whatever you guys planned, you think you did it right by looking at where we are today?
Well, so, hindsight is 20/20. And if we'd have known then what we know now, actually the thoroughfares in Frisco, once they're built out, and they're not, we've got a lot of east-west and north-south thoroughfares that are not at maximum design, and they're going slow. If I'm mayor, when I'm mayor, we're going to speed that process up because traffic is a big concern. But if we'd have known then, we could not have planned for Prosper and Salina. You've got Aubrey and Pilot Point. All those are coming down 380, and everybody's happy that 380 is finally built out. It's fast, but all it does is dump traffic that much quicker onto the tollway. So traffic is, it's a concern, and it's going to be a concern, but we can, with AI data, they're studying right now, we will make these lights quicker, faster for time according to the travel. So we're going to help it. It's going to get better. I don't know that, I wouldn't tell people I could fix it, but we can definitely help it.
So you came to Frisco 1986, you said?
Yes, sir.
And there was 2,600 population?
2,800.
2,800.
The number.
Were there any Indian Americans in that population?
No, I don't believe so. Now maybe, but I don't.
You probably not.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
but the population overall was less
Yes.
that you could
Yes.
notice anybody there. I had some set of questions for you, but then I just got another question in my mind.
Okay.
You came in 1986.
Yes.
Now we are like 2026.
Yes. 40 years.
40 years.
40 years I've been here.
And now you're...
I was 26 years old when I got here. I'm
Okay.
65.
You never thought of contesting as a mayor before?
No, and here's why. And when I was 42 years old, they asked me to run for mayor. But I wouldn't do it because I had the largest business in Frisco. I was the largest employer. I don't believe you do business and you try to run a city or help run a city. It's a conflict of interest. So as long as I had business there, I just stayed away from that.
What
Right?
kind of business?
So we were a heavy civil contractor. So dirt, excavation, utilities, everything under the ground, water, sewer, storm sewer, and then paving. So we actually paved the first lanes of the tollway from 380 all the way through Prosper to Salina, the northbound lanes. A lot of those are failing now. Of course, Senecola, they're building. This is going to be awesome when they get this built. It's just going to speed that traffic up coming through Frisco. But yeah, we did the first two lanes. There was nothing out here when we put those there. So that's where I came from, a farm, and then I was in the oil field, ran dozers, built locations. So when I came here, that's something I could do. So
you made good money out of the business?
Yes, it's a volatile business. You got to stay on it. You got to be involved every day. The barriers of entry are high. Equipment is astronomical. I mean, you got to have really 10, 15 million to even think about starting if you're going to do any volume at all. So, but yeah, we had a great company. Dennis Rodman, the basketball player, he lived with my partner Barry Rich, and when we started, Dennis put 20,000 in. Barry and I each put 10. He had 52% of the company. We started. He kept playing basketball, and then we bought him out in about 7 years and paid him somewhere north of $7 million, I believe. Wow. So his $20,000 investment paid very well.
Okay.
But we had great employees, great relationships. We were Business of the Year. We made Cap Financial's annual report one year as the largest private company. But yeah, we were profitable every year until 2008. And when private developers went belly up, we lost $40 million. And the cost of the $40 million that we paid, because we paid our bills, that added another $30 million. So you could say $70 million hit, and just could not survive that. So we shut it down, and Barry went on to build RPMX, and I had a little different road to travel. So anyway, but I that was 19 wonderful years, and very proud of what we built.
Good. So now from businessman to politician, is that where you're traveling right now?
Well, that's it. So I hate to say politician. I don't like it. I don't like politics. But what I am is a businessman. Any city or state at our federal level, it's a business, right? So one reason I believe I'm qualified over the others is the fact that I have run a $370 million company with 1,600 employees. Our city budget for 26, I believe, is $360 million. There's about 1,800 or 1,850 employees, so something very similar. And the fact that, we go to the taxpayer. So here's what happens in so many communities at a local level, a state level, and a federal level. If we need money, we just raise taxes. Where I lived every day in the excavation world is everything was hard bid, competitive bid. So the only way you created margin was by cutting cost. So we looked at cost every day, and that's how we created margin. So this city, I know, I've never looked at a budget that I can't find fat. And I'm not talking about cutting a budget where we lose excellence.
Frisco is one of the fastest growing cities in America.
Yep.
Nearly 1 in 3 residents today is of Indian or Asian heritage. As mayor, what does that demographic really mean to you in terms of leadership style and priorities for the city? Okay,
so for one thing, when I look at a candidate for any, I don't care if it's leadership in a business, leadership in a political seat, or in our city, I look at who's qualified, who's most qualified. And with the the Indian Americans, we have brilliant people there. Their mindset, a lot of the reason why they're here, that America's asked them here because of their gifting in medical. You know, I had bypass surgery, Indian Hindu community, and I'm just now starting to get to know them. Wonderful people.
You talked about the values here, right?
Yes.
So the Indian values,
Yes.
right, and as a human values also, right?
Yes.
So I have another question around that.
Okay.
So we have seen viral social media videos calling Frisco an Indian takeover,
Right.
right?
Oh.
And outside activists have shown up at the city council meeting using replacement theory language,
Mhm.
targeting Indian Americans.
Mhm.
As a mayor,
Yes.
what concrete steps would you take beyond just words,
Yes, sir.
right, to push back on that narrative and protect the safety and dignity of this community?
Thank you. Dignity is a big word. Also, just respect for each other. But this fella that's coming into our city council meetings, he's not. You know, you have the public hearing time, and that's so the public can ask questions and they can make a statement if they want to. But to find out what's going on, it should be between the council and that public time where we're answering questions. These fellas, whoever, and I haven't talked to this guy yet, but I'd like to meet him. They literally are coming in and attacking people. So that place to me, and I wouldn't call it sacred, but it is, it's the meeting place for our city, for the leadership and our uh, uh, people to come together and do business. You know, I was there the other night. I left at 10:45, and that guy was still in there hammering on the Hindus, the Muslim. I don't care. He has no right to be there. When I'm mayor, I promise. You think President Trump would allow that in one of his meetings? No. And I won't. And I don't know. There's got to be something, but that is not. Again, he's taken advantage of a law or an opportunity that's been given to him, right? And he's taken total advantage of it to, he's a mad, angry, I don't know what he is, but he has no right to be doing it. And I'll stop it one way or another, or they can throw me out. But that's not going to happen. I will not sit there and listen to a man tear down other humans. I'm not going to do it. Gets me, can you tell it gets me passionate?
So on the similar lines, right? I mean, if
Yes.
you have seen a lady these days who's become a celebrity overnight, um, I will say the name also, Sarah Gonzalez, right?
Okay.
And she's going after the Indians,
Okay.
especially, and knocking the doors and making videos around, the H-1Bs and all that
Okay.
stuff, right?
Yes.
What is your comment on that? Is that something, right to do? What?
No.
Yeah.
So, and here's even the H-1B. There's so many people that are screaming about it that don't know. So I'm just really learning about H-1Bs. It's actually our government has asked them to come. We need those people here. Now, if there's fraud in it, if they're using it as a loophole or lining their pockets, it's wrong. We got to stop that. But there is great need for people, the H-1B people. So I support that. Let me give you an example. When I was in the construction business, 90%, at first it was maybe 50% of our employees were Hispanic. As time went on, we made operators. You know, they were laborers, concrete and laying pipe. Well, they would show up every day. We started giving them jobs running equipment with cabs and air conditioning, right? Then we started making them foremans. Then we started making them superintendents. All the white boys, they started screaming, "You're giving our jobs away to the Hispanics." Well, guys, and here's why. You don't show up for work. You don't take care of your job. So it was the same thing then. And I think a lot of it is, when people are uninformed or they don't know, fear sets in. And what's the next uh, process after fear is anger. So then they start verbalizing that. And so what we have to do is educate people on the H-1B. I've talked to a couple state reps today and actually a congressman. And he said that we have done a poor job of educating the people what's going on in two arenas. One is on the radical terrorist side and Sharia law. That we've not done a good job. But we're going to make sure that we know, and we're going to deal with it. On the other side, the H-1Bs. I didn't know anything about it, and I've lived here 40 years, right? So we have to make people aware, and let's take advantage of that. I heard President Trump the other day saying we are bringing great talent to this country. Well, it's a worldwide race for AI, right?
Right.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and America wants to be first. I think the Indian American people are going to help us do that because that's where they're plugging them in.
So with 30% of Frisco population being Indian American,
Yes.
there is virtually no representation at the senior levels of city government or on the key boards and commissions. What would you do as a mayor to change that?
Well, so again, when I talk about people, whoever's running for a position or taking a position, first, are they qualified? I think a lot of the politics that goes on here, it's good old boy and it's buddy whatever. Just give you an example. Mooney, anyway, so does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think as we get to know, and I'm just going to say this with you guys, here's the fear from our side of the fence, is that two things, the growth of the Indian American community, sheer numbers, scares us that pretty soon they'll vote the whole city. It'll be mayor, complete city council, school board, they'll all be Indian. And then we've lost our culture or the fear of that completely. The Texas good old boy culture, whatever that is. So that's why we have got to put together a coalition and we have to communicate and calm down with each other and where we can trust each other as people and leaders and make this work. Because as I told the guys I met with when Bert Thacker took me out there, listen, over the Richwood and the what are they, warehouses, I signed that petition. So, and I did it because that was the right thing to do, because those people were not allowed to voice their opinion or ask questions. It was just stuck there. I said, it's not because the zoning wasn't there, but for this fact, I'll sign. We have to just do the right thing. And we have to be able to be truthful. We got to share you call them feelings, emotion, a lot of time gets into everything, but let's lay the truth on the table from both sides and let's work together. And I know we can. The more I get to know the Hindu, I got to say Indian American. Yes, I'm going to get the verbiage right.
That's fine.
I have Native Indian. I got Sioux in me. So anyway, but we've got to work together. And I know we can. And I will embrace that. I would love to have some type of, a board from the Indian side. And let's get some people from this side. And we just got to, let's sit and talk. You tell me, I can hear some of your frustration by your questions, and they're valid questions. So who's talking about it? Nobody. So let's talk about it. Let's get it in the open.
So what's your plan for that then? What's your plan? Do you have a plan? Do you?
Yes, and I've talked to several. In fact, the man I met with yesterday, he said, I will help build a coalition. And we need the right representatives from your world, and I can bring good common sense, not crazy or one-sided from my side. And let's just, hey, we got to meet once a month. I don't care. Let's get started on this. And how do we merge our cultures for a great response? When I went to the Holy Day, people cursed me for it, said, oh, you shouldn't have done that, right? But I said, listen, I'm a relationship guy. How are we ever going to get to know each other? It wasn't a religious thing to me. I went there because I was invited by you people, whatever, and I went and I had a great time. I probably talked to 40 couples that just came up to me and shook my hand and talked to me, and what's wonderful, when the man comes, the wife is there and the children are there. You get to meet the whole family. Most of the time, the guy's running somewhere, the wife's running somewhere, and the kids are driving up, right? So anyway.
So what is the learning? Is there a learning for you to take back to
Yes,
your people?
I answered some of that. Listen, guys, I'm here to build relationship. And after that, everybody calm down. If we can stand, we can stand on the west side of Preston and we can yell across the road and they can stand over there going, right? We have got to come together and let's work on this. And hey, the numbers have grown quickly. I don't care whatever it is that you guys are. You're here for the American dream, right? Just like all of us came for. So let's figure it out. How do we work together and make it a positive?
There are roughly around 50,000 to 60,000 Indian Americans living in Frisco, right?
Yes, sir.
And they will be watching this interview.
Okay.
What is that one thing you would want to tell them?
Okay.
And make them live with no fear, because right now, as we speak, there is a fear in the community because of the way things are being portrayed, like we talked about, right? The H1s and the business and whatnot, right? What Indian Americans are doing.
Yes.
So what is that one thing you would want to say, or how would you want to convince them that you're going to take care of that part of the community?
So the first thing I want to do is speak to the Indian people. And for what was said on that podcast, it was taken out of context completely, and I'm not going to spend time explaining it. But for that, if it was taken and what I said hurt anyone, I apologize 100%, because I would never say anything derogatory about the Indian people. Okay.
What is the plan to make sure that the Indian people, Indian Americans right now, or even in general, the immigrants coming from India are kind of living in fear right now?
Okay. Oh yeah, because of H1B.
It's not just H1B, but the videos, the social media, and all that stuff, and you see a lot of comments coming out of the Americans and other people around what is happening, right? So how do you make sure, or what is that one message you would send to Indian Americans, saying, hey, you are here in America. This is Frisco City.
Yep.
And I, as Rod, I'm going to take care of you guys.
Gotcha.
How do you say that? What do you want to say to them?
Okay. So to the Indian American people that are in Frisco, a lot of things are flying around. There's a lot of things going on in our country. There's questions, I think, with some of the even people H1B that aren't citizens. Here's my message to you. If you're here and you are abiding by our laws and you're bringing great value to this place, which you do, I don't think there's any fear. There's no way that even our federal government, the people they're trying to remove from here are the murderers and the rapists, whatever, people that are breaking the law. When I talked to Chief Chilson, our chief of police, I said, how are the Indian people? He goes, they're wonderful. He said, we wouldn't even need police if this whole city was with them because they're peaceful. So I support that 100%. And I don't think even at the state level, again, if there's fraud in H1B, that's got to be dealt with. But the people that are here on H1B, I know I have friends, Hispanics, that are not citizens, have been here 45 years, but they're law-abiding and they're still here. We're not going to remove them. They add value to our society. So we're going to support you in 100%. And don't live in fear, because you don't need to.
How would they reach out to you if you become a mayor and they have a problem, or anybody that matter, any Frisco resident has a problem?
Right.
How would they reach out to you, and what is your promise for them to respond? Okay. How fast? What is your SLA?
So one of the largest frustrations, I think, in this whole city is transparency and availability. Everything is done behind closed doors. I will be available at any time. We're going to put together, it's 2026. There are so many formats for us to communicate with people. So whatever that looks like, but I want a coalition. I want some kind of a foundation where people can ask questions. I've offered to go to different parts of town once a quarter and just sit there and ask me questions. I'm going to answer them. I will be available. I've been here for 40 years. I'm not going anywhere. So I will be available, and we will, if I don't know the answer to the question, we will find the answer to the question.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot for answering our questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I know you got some more, so if I need to come back sometime, if they don't run me off, I'll come back. How about that? All right. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the people.